Picture this. You're sitting on a rooftop infinity pool in Manila, cocktail in hand, watching the sunset paint the skyline gold. Below you, traffic chokes the streets, poverty lines the sidewalks. But above you, pure air-conditioned bliss. Your rent? Less than a car payment back home. Your housekeeper? She costs what you'd spend on weekly groceries in the West. Your weekend plans? A private beach resort that would bankrupt you in Bali. Welcome to the Philippines, where your mediocre Western salary transforms you into royalty overnight. But here's what the travel vlogs won't tell you. That crown you're wearing? It's made of fool's gold. And it's slowly crushing your soul. This is the dark truth about being rich in the Philippines. And by the end of this video, you'll never see expat life the same way again. Let me introduce you to Mark. He's not real, but he represents every expat who's ever landed at Manila Airport with dreams bigger than his pension. Mark was middle management in Melbourne, invisible, replaceable, drowning in mortgage payments and mediocrity. Then he discovered he could retire in Manila on what he spent on rent alone. Within weeks, Mark had 3 things he'd never experienced back home. 1. A penthouse view overlooking the city. 2. A woman 20 years his junior calling him baby. 3. Strangers treating him like he actually mattered. The Philippines had a way of making you feel seen. Restaurant staff remembered your name after one visit. Security guards saluted as you passed. Taxi drivers called you sir with genuine deference. For men like Mark, men who'd spent decades being nobody special, this was intoxicating. Addictive even. But intoxication always wears off. And when it does, that's when things get interesting. What happened next to Mark would question whether it was all worth it. It happened at a family christening. Mark's girlfriend invited him. A simple celebration, she promised. He showed up with a bottle of wine and a smile. What he didn't expect was becoming the de facto ATM for the entire extended family. Sir Mark, can you be the godfather? In translation, that simply means, can you fund this party forever? Sir Mark, my cousin needs medicine. Translation, your guilt is our insurance policy. Sir Mark, you're so generous. That means we've already told everyone you're paying. Mark paid. Of course he paid. What was he going to do? Say no? Look cheap in front of 50 people who'd already labeled him the rich foreigner. That's the thing about sudden wealth in a poor country. Your money was never really yours. It belonged to everyone who could see it. The requests never stopped after that. They just got more creative. My son needs tuition. Grandmother's surgery. Business investment opportunity. Emergency family crisis. Welcome to paradise, Mark. Population, you, and everyone who needs something from you. Here's what expat forums won't admit. Being rich in the Philippines is lonely as hell. You'd think having money would open doors. It does, but only to rooms full of other foreigners just as disconnected as you. The expat bar circuit becomes your world. Same faces, same complaints, same conversations about visa runs and where to get real cheese. You're living in the Philippines, but you're not living in the Philippines. You're living in a parallel universe where everything Filipino becomes a service you purchase rather than a culture you inhabit. Meet Sarah, divorced, moved to Cebu for a fresh start. She wanted authentic connection. She got a 3-bedroom condo, a driver, and a maid who called her ma'am. Sarah thought she was integrating. She learned Tagalog phrases. She ate with her hands. She felt like she was finally breaking through. Then she overheard her maid talking on the phone. Yeah, she's nice, for a foreigner, but you know how they are. She'll leave eventually. They always do. That's when Sarah realized she wasn't a person here. She was a category, a temporary phenomenon, a walking dollar sign with feelings. The irony? The more comfortable she got, the more isolated she became. Her air-conditioned comfort separated her from the reality just outside her windows. She couldn't walk through her own neighborhood without being mobbed for selfies or cash. So she stopped walking. She stopped trying. She joined the other expats in their gated communities and pretended this was the real Philippines. It wasn't. It was just an expensive stage set. Now, before we continue, if you're getting value so far, could you please like the video? This really means a lot to me, and I appreciate every single like on this video. Thank you. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Let's talk about what everyone thinks but nobody says. The racial and economic dynamics that make this whole system work. White foreigners in the Philippines aren't just rich, they're symbolically rich. Colonialism left its mark here, and that mark looks suspiciously like you. Spanish blood, mestizo privilege. American accent, instant credibility. European passport, untouchable status. Meanwhile, Filipinos with the same money don't get the same treatment. A wealthy Filipino businessman gets respect, sure. But a white retiree with a fraction of that wealth gets worship. The difference isn't the bank account, it's the skin. This makes some expats uncomfortable. Others? They lean into it. Hard. They become cartoon villains. The fat, balding foreigner with the teenager bride, shouting at service staff, treating the country like a theme park built for their pleasure. They justify it with economics. I'm bringing money into the economy, as if exploitation becomes noble when you tip well. But here's the thing that'll really make you squirm. Even the good expats, the ones who learn the language, volunteer, date age appropriately, are still participating in a fundamentally unequal system. Your presence drives up rents, prices locals out of their own neighborhoods, and creates a service economy built on the assumption that Western comfort matters more than Filipino dignity. You want to be the good guy? Cool. But you're still the guy who can afford to be good. But not everyone expat stays in the bubble. The story of James will tell a completely different story. Meet James, 57, British, retired early from tech, moved to Dumaguete with his Filipino wife, expecting paradise. Got something more complicated, reality. James made a decision that changed everything. He actually talked to Filipinos, not at them, not around them, to them. He hired local staff but paid above market rate. He invested in his wife's family business instead of just funding their emergencies. He learned not just Tagalog, but Cebuano. He showed up to community events not as a guest of honor, but as a participant. Here's what James discovered. When you stop being the rich foreigner and start being James, that British guy who helped rebuild the school, everything changes. The invisible wall between you and the community becomes permeable. You're no longer an ATM with legs. You're a person. But, and this is critical, this only worked because James had something most expats don't: humility. He accepted that being rich here wasn't an achievement. It was an accident of birth and exchange rates. He understood that his comfort was built on a global economic system that valued his labor 20 times more than identical labor performed by his Filipino neighbors. That understanding? That's the real privilege. And it's rarer than you'd think. Here's the test that every rich expat eventually faces. What kind of person do you become when accountability disappears? Back home, society keeps you in check. Treat service workers like garbage? You get called out. Cheat on your partner? There are social consequences. Act entitled? You get humbled fast. But in the Philippines, if you're foreign and funded, those rules evaporate. You can fire your maid for any reason. You can ghost your girlfriend, and she'll still smile when she sees you. You can complain about everything Filipino while benefiting from everything Filipino. The question isn't whether this power corrupts. The question is, how long does it take? Some expats become monsters within months, screaming at Grab drivers, slapping waiters, treating women like rental equipment. Others slowly drift into a gentler cruelty, indifference. They stop seeing the poverty. It becomes wallpaper, background noise, just how things are here. Both responses are failures. Both reveal the same truth. Being rich in a poor country doesn't test your wealth. It tests your character, and most people fail. So here we are. You've seen the seduction, the isolation, the systemic inequality, and the moral reckoning. Now what? If you're an expat, or thinking of becoming one, you have 3 options. Option 1, denial. Stay in the bubble. Keep telling yourself you've earned this lifestyle. Ignore the cognitive dissonance. Die comfortably and forgotten. 78% choose this path. Option 2, departure. Admit this isn't sustainable. Go home. Return to being ordinary. At least you'll be honest. 19% choose this path. Option 3, disruption. Stay, but differently. Use your privilege as a tool, not a weapon. Invest in community, not just comfort. Build relationships, not transactions. Accept that you'll never fully belong, but you can still contribute meaningfully. 3% choose this path. Most choose option 1. They're the ones you see at expat bars, 10 years deep, still complaining about these people while living off these people's labor. A few choose option 2. They're the ones who post dramatic, "Why I'm leaving the Philippines" videos, blaming the country for their own disillusionment. But the rare ones? The ones who choose option 3? They're the ones who transform what it means to be foreign here. They prove that wealth isn't about how much you have. It's about what you do with it. Which door will you choose? The Philippines doesn't make you rich or poor. It doesn't make you good or bad. It just reveals what was always there, waiting to be tested. That rooftop infinity pool? It's not paradise. It's a mirror. And what you see staring back at you? The person you become when everything is easy and nothing is forbidden. That's the real truth about being rich in the Philippines. Some people look in that mirror and see a king. Others see a ghost. What will you see? Paradise isn't a place. It's a choice. And the clock is ticking. For an in-depth explanation of how much do you need to earn to be rich in the Philippines, watch the video before you.